Welcome to this week's video on The Psychology of Money by Morgan Housel. This is my breakdown of all the lessons, tips and tricks I've picked up from reading this. It is the best finance book / psychology book I have ever read. If you stay till the very end, I'll tell you the exact lessons I'm now applying to my own finance journey that you can apply to yours. Lesson 1, stop playing other people's games. What does that mean? We all look at other people and think they've got it figured out. We look at like famous investors, we look at our friends, we look at people we think are wealthy, and we think, oh, if I just copy what they're doing, I'll be wealthy too. It doesn't work like that. We all have different horizons and different games. Some people might be playing over a 5-year horizon. They want to earn as much money as they can in that time frame. So they'll be doing things like crypto, GameStop shares, all that kind of mad stuff, try to earn a short-term victory. Whereas if you're playing over a 30-year horizon, you shouldn't be doing the same thing. So lesson number 1, stop copying other people, spend more time focusing on your own game. Point number 2 doesn't really make any sense the first time you read it or hear it from me, but bear with me. High yields does not always equal good investing. So high yields event is something like that's a one-off. Like this year, Tesla shares going to the moon. That's very difficult to do over a very long period of time. What you want to be able to do is be wrong half the time and still make a fortune. So chasing high yields is like point 1. You might be able to do it over a short period of time, but what you want to be able to do is replicate it over a 30-year horizon. So think of something you can do again and again and again and again. So really, it's about creating systems you can replicate over time, so then you can avail of the magic of investing, compounding. And we're going to talk about that a little bit later. The next point is about our egos. Ego equals poverty. Housel makes a great analogy about the nice car complex and the person in the nice car complex. So picture your dream car, whatever it can be. For me, it's a matte black Land Rover Defender. Maybe it's a Lamborghini, a Tesla, a Ferrari. Doesn't really matter. Now imagine someone driving past you in that car. What do you think? Think about it for a second. What's the first thought that goes through your mind? The person driving the car thinks, look at that person looking at me. They think I'm really cool. What you think is, how cool would I look driving that car? We're all influenced by our egos, and egos then fuel a lot of the financial decisions we make because we act based on our ego. Housel makes the definition between being rich and wealthy. Being rich is able to afford a nice car like that. Being wealthy is being able to afford it, but knowing that you don't need to buy it to prove anything to anyone else. The next lesson is about false narratives. Fake stories, essentially. Fake news. So what does that mean? The world's crazy, right? And we can only understand a little bit of it. For me, I want to believe Bitcoin's going to go to $1 million. So I'll kind of believe a lot of the stories about Bitcoin that reinforce my view that Bitcoin's going to go to $1 million. I'll pick like 5 good news stories, ignore like 50 bad news stories and go, Bitcoin's going to go to $1 million because of X, Y, Z. That's what we want to avoid. You want to avoid plugging your gaps in information with news that you kind of more want to be true than believe it is. So avoid false narratives and avoid plugging in gaps in your knowledge with stories that you more want to be true than believe to be true. The next big lesson I picked out on this book was figure out the price for success and then pay it. It's a really valuable lesson, and to be honest, it applies to everything in life, I think, as opposed to not just investing. Think about any great sports star. They've invested maybe 15 years of sweat, graft, daily training to get to the very pinnacle of their sport. The price for success for them is those 15 years. So think about it when it comes to your investing. What is the price you're going to have to pay to get wealthy? Probably a good example is maybe it's going to cost you $1,000 or euro every month for the next 20 years. You're going to invest that into various things, crypto, property, shares, whatever, and that's the price you're going to have to pay. So 12 grand a year. Is that a price you're willing to pay consistently over time and not just like do it for 2 months and then slack off? That's the price for success. Figure out your price for success and then pay it. The next point Housel talks about is the margin for error, or the I up clause, as I would call it. This is the point whereby you can be wrong 50% of the time and still get really wealthy. So break that down further. Think of it like venture capital investing, where they put a huge amount of money into maybe 30 companies and they know probably 28 of them are going to go bust, but they only need 2 to go to the moon for them to be fabulously wealthy. The same is for you, just over an extended period of time and in a more kind of cautious way. So what that means is you don't go all in on one type of investment. You don't put all your money into crypto or all your money into like bank shares as people did in Ireland in 2008, or all into like one property. You want to spread it out so that you have a little bit in crypto, a little bit in shares, a little bit in property, a little bit in savings, or whatever your risk tolerance meets, so that you know that if one of them goes gone, in the morning you wake up and all your shares are gone in X company, you're not totally screwed. We're in the final 2 points, then I'm going to give you my lessons as how I'm going to apply them to my life and how you can possibly apply them to yours. The next point is you want to become financially unbreakable. Think of yourself as like a financial Wolverine. You can take all sorts of dents, nicks, scratches, scrapes, and you just heal straight away. You're not going to lose sleep if one of your investments goes down. This kind of replicates what we just talked about in the last point, but it's worth repeating, and Housel talks about this extensively. You want to be financially unbreakable. If one thing goes down, this does not pull down the house of cards. Think of it like a business. Any great business has multiple revenue streams spread across multiple different layers, so that if one turns off or one is seasonal, you're still fine. You've got your other revenue streams coming in. So think about your investment portfolio like that. Multiple revenue streams, so that if one turns off, it's no big deal. You bounce back like Wolverine. Control over your time is the ultimate wealth. If you've made it this far and you're like, oh, he hasn't given us any specific investment advice, that's because it's not really a book about investing per se. It's a book about the psychology of investing. It's how we think about investing, and also how we think about business that Housel talks about. So if you're looking for, should I invest in crypto or should I invest in shares? This isn't the book for you. This breaks down the psychology behind that and how you can take advantage of that psychology and, more importantly, control it to become wealthy. And in essence, he sums it up as, to be truly wealthy, you need to be in control of your time. But how am I actually going to apply it to my life? What I'm going to do is take a much longer view on everything. Example is YouTube. Take a 5-year view on this. Take a 5-year view on my podcast. Take a longer horizon on everything. Social media has made us think about instant gratification. I kind of want this now. I see someone having something cool. Oh, I'd like that. So I'm taking a much longer time horizon on everything. If you're taking a 10, 20, 30-year horizon on investments, why not take that over everything that we're doing? So that's probably the number one lesson I'm taking from the book. The second lesson I'm taking is figure out the price for success and pay it. What that means is think about how you work out with a personal trainer. You work out very differently than if you're working out on your own. Think about it when you get a mentor. You're much more engaged in the process. I think of it like skin in the game. If you've got skin in the game, you take it much more seriously. The third lesson I've got from this book is it's okay that not all decisions aren't entirely rational. Sometimes it's okay to make a decision that helps you sleep better at night. For example, one of my main goals is to pay off my mortgage as soon as I can. Does that make financial sense over 20, 30 years? No, it doesn't in pure black and white terms, in terms of, let's say your mortgage is 4% a year. If you can invest the same amount of money into, say, the stock market and get a 10% return, you can take that 6% and you should do that anyway. But to be honest, Housel makes the point that it's okay to make decisions that help you sleep better at night that aren't exactly entirely rational. If you made it this far, thank you. You're about to get the best lesson from the whole book. If you would hit the like button, it would really help me show that you enjoyed this video and found it useful. So go ahead, hit the like button now, and I'll share my final lesson with you, and I'll also share a review at the end. The final lesson is it's okay to figure out what your definition of wealth is. For me, it's true financial independence and being financially unbreakable. I want to be completely time free. And what that means is I want to have enough money to do whatever I want, with whoever I want, whenever I want. Don't interpret this the wrong way. For me, that's not sitting on the beach. For me, it's been able to pursue my passions that I enjoy, projects that I enjoy, businesses that I enjoy, with people that I enjoy working with. That to me is true wealth. And that is one of the big lessons I took from Housel's book, is that it's okay to have your own definition of wealth. That was my breakdown on The Psychology of Money by Morgan Housel. I hope you enjoyed it. It's a really, really good read. I could not recommend it strongly enough. This is up there, one of the best books I've ever read. If you enjoyed it, please do hit the like button and do subscribe. You can click the video here to check out how I actually built this podcast studio in my own house during lockdown, and you can click here to subscribe to the channel. If you're into like business, personal finance, general self-development, this channel you'll find interesting. I'll see you next week.